500,000. They were assessed at $2 million. So we want them to, and as at the 31st, only 208,000 contributed. So, Mr. Director General, can you tell us why and what the law says? Huh? Yeah, okay, yeah. LRA coming.
Okay, Chairman, one thing I noticed,
And people leave there. The sergeant people leave.
Yeah, I can leave there.
I don't know if some of these institutions are bringing their budget instead of them cash close to them. They didn't bring their budget?
Yeah, that's one thing we have to add. Because from the budget, was it the SODs?
Yeah, we didn't get the LTA budget.
Okay. So, LBO, please take note when LTA come in, they should come with a budget.
Oh, they will come again?
Yeah, we'll say contract. But the contract, yeah, they still come in.
Within their budget.
And for your information, we have a service contract for 3 institutions: transport, LRS, and labor. So we'll have it distributed before we leave. Yeah, go ahead.
We've already sent the method and CTO.
Okay, methods and okay. So yeah, go ahead and confirm.
When it comes to NaFAA, it was assessed at 2 million. They have paid 0.
They are what?
0.
On 2025?
Vaccine 208.
You see that the biggest company is all fully.
It's all what? We're fully.
Yeah.
They have paid 0.
0. And what the law says about NaFAA,
Capital 0.
what the statute says.
50% of the revenue.
That's what I want to hear from you.
What the law says. 50%, not even their income. 50% of the revenue from that. That's what the law says.
Okay, so Mr. Director General, can you tell why you haven't paid a dime?
Thank you, Honorable Chair and members. When we took over NaFAA, we saw the $2 million, and I was wondering on what basis that was done, irrespective of the law. But the realities we met was that NaFAA performance as at 2025 stands at $1.4 million in terms of actual revenue generated against targeted revenue of $2.3 million. We also inherited a total liability of $3.1 million owed to government institutions and other vendors. So against that background, I began to wonder on what basis the NaFAA will be able to pay government contribution of $2 million, at the same time paying a debt of $3.1 million with only a revenue of $1.4 million to date. And those were some of the discussions we began to have with the Ministry of Finance and Development Planning and other stakeholders. So that's one of the reasons why to date, we have not paid a dime towards the $2 million. What we did when we took over, we did a recast of our budget. And what the board approved was around $200,000 to make as direct revenue budgetary support to government. Against that backdrop, comparing 2024 to 2025, withholding was around $60,511. To date, in 2025, we are around $208,000, which of course is even more, meaning that we are now beginning to remit withholding taxes to government, the government in the most appropriate way. So that's the reason why we have not paid towards the $2 million.
Okay, so there are two different things. The withholding is different from the direct contribution and the revenue generated.
Yeah.
So you prioritize other institutions that NaFAA owes as compared to contributing to the consolidated account,
No,
or to what the law says.
In fact, we have not prioritized other institutions. We needed to do an audit verification of the debts. Because while it is true that we incurred $3.1 million, so we transferred the debt to the GSA to do an audit verification.
So you didn't,
which is ongoing.
You didn't pay on any of the 3.3 million plus and the 2 million assessment of the government.
No, because the reality is that I've made a bank balance of $350,000. And with a total staff capacity of 203, that had a monthly salary of around $167,000. So that's the pitch we met.
Did you bring a budget? Do you have a budget? Because what you gave me is your presentation. Do you have a budget here?
We have the 2026.
Yeah, the projected budget for the institution.
Yeah.
Have it here?
I'll send you.
Can we get a copy?
Yeah, I'll send you that.
Okay, so we'll get that later. Yeah. So yeah.
When you finish.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Oh, he's not on the O?
No.
What is that?
GOL contribution, and then projection for revenue for 2026 and GOL contribution.
Yeah.
As we stand at third quarter, our revenue performance is around 43.4%. That tells us that against a core revenue projection of $3.2 million,
Presentation in the chat room. Go ahead.
against a core revenue budget of $3.2 million, we have realized $1.4 million. That gives us around 75% deficit in terms of our revenue. Areas that are not performing include access fees. Access fees stands for international tuna vessels that come in Liberian waters and access license. We had like 37 tuna vessels between 2023 and 2024. To date, that has declined drastically because of practices that happened from past management. The environment was not conducive for them, and so they had to pull out, which of course is affecting the revenue. We also, in terms of license fees, at least we are performing. On Monday, the president announced the reduction in artisanal fishermen fees because a lot of them were not paying. They indicated that the fees were very high, and so they need a reduction in the fees. The president did the needful and announced the reduction in the fees. Fines is performing, and I'm excited to announce that there are companies in Liberia that once they think they have acquired IPD for the Ministry of Commerce, meaning they can import fish in Liberia at will. And so we began fining few of those companies for importing fish without permit. And so that's one of our major areas of collection we are now having. If we look at the total cash flow to date, we are anticipating that in the next year, that is for 2026, there will be a lot of improvements because based on certain regulations we've introducing, we're going to see an increase in access fees. We've now introduced the string vessel, and so we have one string vessel coming in next year. We're also introducing the crab vessel, so one will be coming in next year. We also introducing what we call some reduction in the overall percentage for tuna vessel, which of course were driving a lot of the folks away. Honorable Chair and honorable members of this committee, we are projecting $500,000 in 2026 as our contribution to government revenue. And the reason is that we're looking at the present cash flow. For too long, we've been dependent on fees coming from industrial vessels, and which of course we cannot continue to depend on because there are instances where in those industrial vessels they decide not to fly on Liberian waters. Owing to the fact that Liberia is still under the European Union yellow card, which of course is also driving these vessels away. Because if we cannot tackle in removing the yellow card, definitely we stand a greater risk of attracting these vessels. And so there are a lot of diversification we are now introducing, and which of course I mentioned on the crab and string vessel. The next thing we are doing is to alleviate the infrastructure gap. We have a lot of poor infrastructure in the fisheries sector. And as we stand, our present harvest, local production in terms of harvest, is around 53,000 metric tons of fish every year. Out of that 53,000 metric tons of fish, 17,000 is offloaded in Senegal and in Cote d'Ivoire. The reason is that Liberia does not have a dedicated fishing port to be able to offload those harvests here. And so together with our partners, we've completed a shovel-ready design for an industrial fishing port that costs around $26 million. We need to now source that funding to be able to build the industrial port. If that port is built, definitely we're talking about between 2,000 to 2,500 new jobs. And also in terms of regular revenue, we will be now earning revenue from exports. Through our partners also, we're doing a feasibility study for a fish processing factory in Grand Bassa for value addition. What we do here is that most often, all of our catch from our artisanal vessels are very, very limited to be able to supply our local market and also add value. And so that processing factory will also attract private capital to our waters. Honorable Chair, we also have been putting a lot of emphasis on marine fisheries instead of aquaculture and inland fisheries. And so we're going to now industrialize aquaculture. So we've secured the first 30 acres of land in San Nicolas, Neva County to construct the first integrated industrial aquaculture optical farm. That farm will be able to produce at least between 2,000 to 2,300 metric tons per year. And if that happens, definitely we should attracting a lot of jobs along the value chain. Our priority areas for 2026, in which we very, very strongly hope that once we can get these right, we're going to increase our revenue in terms of diversification to be able to do our best in meeting our own commitment to government. Some of the areas we're looking at now, we're going to be hosting a National Fisheries Investment Conference in March 2026 to be able to showcase our comparative advantage as a country. We're now reawakening some policies in terms of our fishing policy, our fisheries policy, to also attract our international partners. We're working with the European Union to remove the yellow card, and that's the reason why through the European Union, we now have a consultant recruited to work with Liberia to remove the yellow card. When that yellow card is removed, we are talking about attracting additional 13 to 15 European vessels in the Liberian waters. And also, our export will be qualified to go to European markets. The sticker issue is between transshipment programs. The European Union is saying that NaFAA should control transshipment program. The transshipment program is presently with maritime. And so that is the sticker issue. We either control it or we have access to it. And so until we can address that, definitely we're going to crawl along on the yellow card. But these are discussions we are having with maritime and other institutions. We also started a reconstruction of the clay hatchery in Bomi County. And that would be a one-stop shop to be able to distribute inputs on aquaculture production in the country. That hatchery, once completed, will be an area to be able to do a lot of work with fish farmers across the country. Quality assurance has also been our issues for export. We're working with our partners through the Liberia Standard Authority to build the first fisheries competent laboratory. So a feasibility study is going to start in January for that purpose. Honorable lawmakers, capacity is not really an issue at NaFAA. Definitely capacity is strong. But we need to now convert capacity into outcomes. And so one of the areas we're looking at, considering that we're now talking about fishing ports, we want to now explore in getting Liberians out there to do marine engineering. So we're working with some of our embassies to get Liberians out there to showcase marine engineering. The fishing community, our Liberians are giving us trouble around the coastal communities. A lot of them believe that they should not be paying fees. And in so doing, we are begging the indulgence of you, honorable lawmakers, to engage. Now that the reduction of fees has taken place by His Excellency announced, we are appealing to you, honorable lawmakers, to be able to talk to our fishing communities. The Fantis are very compliant as compared to the Liberians. West Point is a headache. 90% of people in West Point have refused to pay. Newtown is also troublesome. We're talking about Maryland County, Grand Crew County, and other areas. Consultations have begun with them now that the fees have been reduced. One of the things that were also affecting our fishing community were mackerel vessels. We had people coming from Cote d'Ivoire, coming in our waters and fishing and go back. So it was kind of really affecting our fisher folks. What we've done, we've increased the fees for mackerel vessels to discourage them from coming in Liberia. We're still looking out to see how well we can work with our fishing community to build landing sites so that the canoes can dock. Because erosion is affecting them. And so 2 landing sites will be constructed beginning next year in Grand Crew and in Maryland County. We're also working with the UNDP to do one in Sango County. So these are prospects in which once we can handle a lot of these infrastructure gaps, definitely we're going to push our revenue diversification. We're going to be able to reach out there. And let me also indicate that we are opening the first regional office in Harper, Maryland County next year to be able to combat illegal fishing. A lot of the fish importers, as I indicated, we are finding them for not getting permits on imports. And we are very serious about that. Let me also indicate that concession companies are bringing in containers of fish without import permits. And this is something that we need to tackle, that they need to buy locally and stop importation for their staff at those concessions. And these are areas that we are losing huge revenue. Another part is that we want to beg your indulgence. There are people carrying fish in suitcases, dry fish in suitcases from Liberia. Most of them have refused to pay export fees. When they get at the airport, they will blast at our people, they will fight them, and they will refuse to pay. We are losing revenue in that. The post and telecommunication, we are also losing revenue because a lot of people using post and telecom to export fish. We've discussed with our police at post and telecom that we do not need the money, just how much is being generated from that, so that we can quantify it and be able to form part of our overall. So these are interagency collaborations that we want to strengthen so that at least we'll be able to cover a lot of the loopholes. We are going digital now in all of our activities. I know there are going to be complications for the artisanals, but for all of our importers and our industrial vessels, now you can sit in the comfort of your office. Licenses and permits you used to get in 3 months is now in 24 hours. And so we've minimized the turnaround time for people to get permits. And I think we're going to be attracting a lot of them as of it. Thank you.
Thank you. Colleagues, thank you.
We'll now go to the question and answer with the gentleman. Yeah. Okay.
One thing before you
Yeah,
very short. How do you monitor those vessels that are intruding into our waters? What mechanism do you have to do that?
Thank you so much. So we have a 24/7 fisheries monitoring center here at the Mensorado Pier. What we also did, we kind of beefed up and strengthened our monitoring capacity by introducing a technology called the Quartermaster. Now I can sit at my house and monitor the ocean from my phone. So we've introduced that now. We're also working with a company called the Blue Hammer Technology to introduce artificial intelligence for vessels that switch off the vessel monitoring center. There are a lot of them that switch it off deliberately. And so when we introduce the Blue Hammer technology, whether you switch off or not, we'll be able to track you. And once we track you for switching on your AIS, the law says, we fine you $1.5 million. And we're very, very intentional about that. We'll be introducing drones as well. And so that's the reason why with the Coast Guides, we want to see how we can allocate some funding for the Coast Guides to be on the right route. So once we grab a vessel, definitely they can move in. The yellow card we're experiencing today, a vessel called a winning vessel was arrested in 2017. $1.5 million was charged on that vessel. How that vessel disappeared from the Liberian waters, only God knows. And that's the reason why the EU said that we were compromised, and so they levied a yellow card on Liberia.
Okay, yeah.
The gentleman,
Go ahead. That's
I'll be very brief.
Get it back already. Sorry.
Your projected contribution to
Sit down.
$500,000.
Thank you.
Are we together?
Yeah, we're together. I'm trying to get it. Senior Senator Olufa.
Chairman of the Congress.
And my nephew too.
Mr. Chairman,
Happy you bless,
I
man.
want us to be together. I'm asking the acting director his projected contribution to the 2026 budget.
$500,000.
What is it based on? How is it derived?
So the $500,000 is actually derived based on our present realities and the projection of vessels that we are anticipating for the year 2026.
What is your projected income? What will be your projected income for 2026?
Our projector is $3.2 million. That's our projector for 2026 in terms of core revenue.
3.2.
Yeah.
And what does the law say? How much you raise that 3.2? How much are you supposed to contribute to the budget?
I agree, the law says that, but the reality is that NaFAA will shut down.
No.
And I'm coming, Honorable Senator. It's true that the law.
Okay, let's do it step by step.
Yeah.
let's go by the law. If the law say you should contribute.
The law says 40%, 40 to 50% of that revenue.
All right. And you are saying the present realities will not enable you to do that. So you're going about you telling this committee that because of some present reality you are asking